Every morning, I always arrived earlier than anyone else, savoring the calm before the school filled with footsteps and chatter. Those quiet minutes when it felt like the world hadn't fully woken up yet. I always loved the moment I opened the door to classroom 3B. The scent of new books, the rows of polished wooden desks, and the sunlight reflecting softly off the whiteboard made the room feel like the most peaceful place in the world. Sometimes I just stood there, letting myself soak in the silence, something that rarely lasted once the kids arrived with their stories and laughter. My routine had never changed since my first day teaching. I straightened my desk, hung my lanyard that read, Mr. Reed, then turned on soft instrumental music. The kids loved it. They said the classroom felt like a safe little world the moment the melody began. Class 3B was a group I adored. They were curious, quick to warm up, and always found ways to keep the room alive. Some loved drawing, some enjoyed reading aloud, and some would ask the funniest things, like whether teachers also had to do homework. Everything was perfect, just like any warm, peaceful morning. Nothing strange, no warning that those calm days were about to change. Until one afternoon, everything began to shift. It started with a faint sound, like something scratching lightly beneath the floor. I was teaching about three-dimensional shapes when the atmosphere in the room suddenly changed. The instrumental music had long been turned off, yet the silence that followed felt different. Heavy, thick, the kind that makes you swallow without knowing why. The kids stopped writing. Some exchanged confused looks. Others bowed their heads slightly as if trying to hear something I couldn't. Mr. Reed, whispered Emma, the little girl with the blue ribbon in her hair. The floor, it's like moving. I chuckled a bit, trying to calm them. Maybe it's just the heater under the room. Today's colder than usual. But before I could finish the sentence, the scratching returned, clearer this time, like something searching for a gap, like fingers dragging slowly beneath the wooden boards. The kids instantly lifted their feet off the floor. Some hugged their knees. Others stared at me, faces pale and confused. Mr. Reed, can I change seats? Liam's voice trembled. I opened my mouth to respond, but then tap, tap, tap. 3 soft knocks from beneath the floor, right in the center of the room. Too steady to be a breeze, too intentional. Emma let out a tiny scream, covering her mouth with both hands. A couple of kids started crying, their voices cracking with fear they couldn't understand. And among the confusion, Noah, the shyest kid in class, raised his finger and pointed to the floor right in front of his desk. Mr. Reed, he whispered. Something pulled my leg. My whole body went cold. For the first time in my teaching career, I was completely speechless. And that afternoon, in a room usually filled with laughter, I felt something I'd never felt before. Pure fear, from a place that shouldn't be inhabited by anyone. I stood frozen for several seconds, feeling goosebumps rise along my arms as the tapping drifted slowly toward me, almost following the kids' anxious breathing. I knew I had to stay calm for them, but whatever was beneath that floor made my steps feel heavy, like the ground didn't want to let me go. Everyone, stay calm. Stay in your seats, I said, though my own voice was unsteady. But the kids had already lost their calm. Some were crying, others calling for their mothers, and the younger ones huddled together, staring at the floor like something could burst through the boards any second. I needed to get them out. That was the only thing on my mind. Get them to safety. no matter what. I grabbed the door handle, but as I tried to open it, the tapping stopped. Silence. A complete, suffocating silence that felt like the room was holding its breath with us. Then something stranger happened. The lights flickered once, then again brighter, and somehow the temperature dropped sharply, like an unseen door had opened somewhere. "Mr. Reed?" Noah whispered again, trembling. "The thing under there, it's still there." I swallowed hard and crouched beside him. "Did you see something?" I asked gently. He shook his head quickly. "No, not see. But it touched me, like it wants to say something." My heart pounded faster. I couldn't deny it anymore. Something was under the floor. And for some reason, it grew more active the moment we tried to leave. I pushed the door harder, but then something stopped me. The door wouldn't open, not locked, not jammed, but held in place, as if a soft force was pushing from the other side. The kids stared at me with wide eyes, hoping I could do something more than pull a handle. I tried to smile, but my face felt stiff. "I'll get help," I said, even though I knew how impossible that was without leaving the room. And then I saw it, something that froze every part of me. In the corner near the colorful bookshelf, one of the floorboards shifted slightly, lifting upward, only half a centimeter, but enough to stop anyone's breath. Something beneath it was trying to come out. The kids screamed again. My goal became painfully clear: get them out, protect them, and figure out what was happening under this classroom. But every step toward the door, every breath I took, every vibration in the floor reminded me that whatever lurked under there did not want us to escape. I pressed my hand against the door that refused to open, and for the first time I felt something I'd never felt from a door. A faint pulse, a gentle vibration, like a heartbeat coming from the other side. The kids froze, staring at me as if I were their last hope. "Come on, Mr. Reed. Please open it," Emma whispered, clutching her little backpack. I tried again, pulled, pushed, pulled harder. Nothing. Instead, the cold crept deeper into my hands, like touching metal left out in the snow. The room grew quieter. So quiet even the sobs faded, replaced by thick, paralyzing fear. Meanwhile, the floorboard in the corner continued rising. Half a centimeter became 1, then 2. And as it lifted further, a soft breath exhaled from beneath. Not wind, not a pipe, but someone trying to speak. I felt my throat tighten. "I have to open this door," I muttered to myself. "I have to." I grabbed my phone to call the school staff. No signal. Tried again. Still, nothing. Like the entire room had been cut off from the outside world. The floor trembled again, stronger this time. The kids huddled together. Some hid beneath their desks, covering their ears. I took a deep breath and tried smashing the window with a small chair. Nothing. Not because the glass was too strong, but because the chair stopped inches before hitting it, like the air itself had become solid. "I don't understand," I whispered. Every exit, the door, the phone, the windows, blocked. And meanwhile, the floorboard in the corner finally lifted high enough to reveal a thin gap of darkness, a gap that shouldn't exist, a gap that looked like an invitation no one would ever want. And from that darkness, something moved. Not a hand, not a shape, but a shadow, long, trembling, creeping outward like it wanted to touch the classroom air after being trapped for too long. "No, no, what is that?" Noah shouted, gripping his desk. I stood between the shadow and the children, though my legs trembled. All my efforts to protect them had failed. And now, there was only one choice left, the hardest one. I had to go closer, find out what was calling from beneath before it pulled someone in. I swallowed and stepped slowly toward the gap. When I stopped right in front of it, the shadow froze. Silence. Stillness. As if waiting. Then a voice, raspy, faint, and far too close, whispered from beneath the floorboards, "Mr. Reed, you're not the ones who should be afraid." That sentence made my entire body go weightless. The voice was so close, so real, it felt like its owner was separated from me by nothing more than a thin sheet of wood. The kids fell absolutely silent. Even their crying seemed to vanish as if swallowed by something unseen. I swallowed, knees almost buckling. Who are you?" I whispered, even though half of me hoped it wouldn't answer. For a few seconds, there was nothing, just a cold, gentle breath rising through the gap.